Good evening. Um, Good evening, all. And let me continue. Let me continue the class. Till yesterday, we were discussing about the Spring-related concepts and Spring Boot and Spring MVC. So all these things, are related to Spring. We were discussing yesterday. Okay. So let's continue the same thing. And we were talking about Spring Boot, um, you know concepts, right? Spring Boot advantages, especially when we are trying to create a project. Okay, initial project, how Spring initializer is going, taking care of how it is helping us. We'll start with that today. Okay, so initially we'll have this Spring initializer, start.spring.io. This is the where we can create a demo projects. We are like the initial projects. Okay, to kick off your okay, let me go to the Spring initializer. So Spring initializer, is going to help us, to create basic Spring projects. Okay, with the selected technology, that whatever you wanted to do, whatever the framework that you wanted to use. Okay, you can select it, and depending on your selection, actually it is going to create a sample project for you. And then it is going to allow you to select the dependencies. Okay, these dependencies are whatever we discussed yesterday. Okay, so kind of you can choose the dependencies based on your project requirement. Okay, so if it is like example, if it is a REST service, or if you want to build a REST API, so you can choose Spring Web. Okay, which will, and if it is required something related to UI related things, you can utilize Spring Web, and it requires some database connections and all. You can take the Spring JDBC, or Spring JPA. Depending on your requirement, you can just pick up one of the dependency of it, into project. And if you wanted to build the applications very quickly, and for to test it, you can also choose like Spring DevTools. Okay, so which will help you to build the application very quickly. So all those things, you can take it as a dependency in this project, and you can create those dependencies directly attached over here. Okay, so let us go ahead and create, one of the project, for today, right? We can utilize the same project in our application, in the Eclipse, and you can okay. So I'm going with the Maven project. Okay, language Java. Okay, and the Spring Boot version, I'm just taking 3.1.0, and never take any snapshot versions. Okay, so because we're not sure, like whether if it is completely stable or not. And so try to go to the release versions, like with which doesn't have any snapshot or any other things, right after the version number. Okay, and here is the project metadata. So what exactly you can do, you can just give, first pro. So yeah, I'm just giving my first. Okay, and artifact name is demo. It should be okay. My first project. Okay. Yeah. So the packaging is jar. Okay. And Java version, it is like above 17 that you can choose it over here. And next, as I mentioned, we have dependencies, lot of dependencies. Okay. Spring Boot Dev tools. Okay, I'm just taking that because if you wanted to give some, if you wanted to do some changes when the server is up and running, so you can still do that, and it will be immediately deployed to the server, deployed to the server. Okay, and what I will need, I'm just creating a REST service. Okay, so I'll take this Spring Web. Okay, which is having uh, okay, and so whenever we required something, the beans, right? So you don't require to write getters and setters method. You can use the Lombok jar file into the application so that it will be easy to maintain the applications quickly. Okay, and there are a lot of other. Okay, so if you wanted to go with the you know Spring Web Services, so it is going to be helping us, while SOAP development and Spring JPA. So you can search it here. Okay, Architecture, Spring Boot Architecture, and Spring Data JPA. This one, and Architecture. Okay, so these are all the dependencies that I just added, for my project. And it's a Maven project, and I selected a Java language, and there is Spring Boot version, and I have given my project name. That's it, right? Uh, next, just a uh, project demo. That's what I can say, right? Yeah. So, okay, 1 second. Yeah. So I'm just clicking generate. Okay. Okay. So it just downloaded a basic project for you. Okay, over here. Okay, so let me go there and I'll show you what exactly it has done. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so this got updated. So okay, so if you see here, this is the project. Actually, it has downloaded, and it is a zip file. Okay, so let's extract it. What exactly it is? No, we'll just verify project. I'm just expanding it as a project. Okay, so it's just extracted. Okay, so in the project, okay, I have these things, these are the folders which is having very basic application related, things, right? First one is pom.xml that we need to consider it as, the main one, and the Maven related, some folders, and and there is a source folder which is having some main and test folders in it. And also in this, there is a class that it has been created, okay, under the the package whatever we mentioned in the while creating the project, right? Project demo application. So if you open this project demo application, okay, so it is like a plain Java application, but it has something related to Spring. Okay, just a minute. Okay, let it go. Yeah. So I'll show you the same thing. Okay, from the project itself. Okay, Eclipse. Okay, so project, right? Yeah, just a minute. Give. Okay. Okay, the project, whatever we have created, right? Using Spring Initializer. This is what the project. Okay, let me just copy it into, copy into the folder 2022. Yeah, just a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it here, 2022. Yeah, project. Okay, so now I'm just importing that. Okay, so import existing Maven projects. Browse project. Okay, yeah, click finish. Okay, so it's gonna load that project into the application. If you see here, this is a project and it is still importing it. Okay, once the import is properly done, you will see the exact package structure and everything. And inside that, there will be a class that you can run it. Okay, directly. Um, just give it a second. Okay, so it can load everything and then we can start working on it. Mhm, mhm. Okay, while it is imports, actually it is taking a lot of time now. Okay, so let me do something else. Okay, so we were talking about how to create a sample web service. Okay, in using Spring Boot, right? So yeah, here are there are a couple of things that we already created. Okay, okay, I'm just going to show you. System application. Okay, so this is one of the RESTful services, okay, application, which I have it here, okay, and yeah, this one, okay, so I have it right here, okay. So basically, whenever you wanted to build, application which is really handling, the REST services, right? So the main class for the REST services is controller. Okay, so we have to create the controller, with all the details, where the service can be hosted. Okay, so we'll start with the controller first. Okay, that is, I'm just using one of the course controller for it. Okay, so what was the pattern that I'm gonna return? Okay, so this is what I'm gonna use it. So if I hit something localhost 8080 with courses, I'm gonna get some ID and name and author of it. Okay, so this has to be written back to me, you know, in a very good manner, right? Like in the JSON or XML, whatever it is. So you know we have this course controller. Okay, so this course controller class, it actually coded with an annotation called @rest controller. So this is the main part. Okay, so when you use @rest controller, so that means this class is act as a web service. Okay, uh, you know and whatever the required things which are which we need to have when we are building a REST service. Okay, all those things, it will be default, you know it will be coming with the annotation. Okay, so what we can say, a convenience annotation that is itself annotated with the controller and @response body. Okay, so it is a combination of two two annotations. One is at the rate controller, and also at the rate response body. So okay, so when we use this one, you are good to use at the rate request mapping, and you can write your own service methods. Okay, and these things, whatever it is, a very plain method. Okay, but when you call a URI using at the rate slash courses, you're going to get these as the information on the URL. Okay, so this is one of the service call that we are going to use. Okay, the course controller. Okay, and let's see how it works, right? So there is one more thing. Request mapping has a weather configs. Okay, so I will go through one by one. First, let's go with courses, and let's see whether the application is working fine or not. Okay. It seems like very slow today. Okay, I just clicked and run as first Spring Boot application, this one. So and make the application start running. Okay. Why it's not starting? Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. So if you see here, this application has been started. Okay, in the console. So, and if you remember that, okay, so first Spring Boot application, it started in 9.94 second, and the port number is 8080. Okay, so why we are seeing the port number as 8080, because it kicked off with a default constructor. Spring Boot actually is having sorry, default server. Okay, that is Tomcat, and this is, we call it as embedded server. So whenever we wanted to run anything on Spring Boot application, okay, so we can directly run through Tomcat, which is an embedded Tomcat, which comes under which comes as a dependency in it. Okay, so when you start the application, it automatically picks up the Tomcat, and it will be available on the port 8080. And yeah, if we want to change that initial port number for Tomcat, yeah, we can still do that using our application properties. And that application properties, in the application dot properties, you just need to mention that server dot port is equals to some different one, 8082 or 8083, whatever you need. You can just add it, that way you can start the Tomcat with a different port number. Okay, so let me just go ahead with the URL. localhost 8080 and what was that? Course, right? Courses. Okay, so if you see here, we were able to see the response from the the controller, whatever we have it, just now. So let me just open Google Chrome. Okay, so I have. Okay, this one. So if you see here, like we got the response very clearly, like whatever we are returning back from the controller. So this is like a very sample demo of a web service. Okay, and the course is actually giving you whatever the whatever the data that we have added into a course class. Okay, so which is converted as a JSON format, and the JSON format is getting displayed on the screen for you. Okay, so who is converting this to JSON? Okay, so the same way, actually lot of configurations. Okay, whenever we are doing it, whenever we wanted to convert something from normal text to JSON, or the class to JSON, just a class object to JSON, all these things on the background will be taken care by Spring. Okay, so that's why Spring Boot was very famous, like to utilize it. Okay, and it has a lot of features that it can have a built-in features. Okay, so that we can use it directly, and using Spring Boot, right, will give you more confidence to concentrate only on the business and functional logic. Okay, and rest of other things, creating certain dependencies, or using certain dependencies, and creating some of the objects, and auto wiring, all those things will be taken care by Spring Boot automatically. Okay, so because of that, you won't be able to worry about the configuration side. So that's why you'll be seeing something like beautiful outputs. Okay, without any specific configurations or any specific conversions. Okay, I'll show you one more example in that way. Okay, so I have one more extra request mapping which says that weather configs. Okay, and I'm just using return wconfig. Okay, I'm not doing anything over here. What exactly this wconfig, right? If you go up, and see, there is a object that we have created, and we just mentioned like auto wired. Okay, so what we're trying to do, uh, we will see that in the output itself first, and then we'll come back here, and just we'll go through the. Okay, so when I click on weather configs, actually I'm getting something as a response, right? So this is what the weather configs. Okay, if you see here, the weather configs is this one, and we were just saying that, okay, return this object. So when we are returning this object, actually we were getting a JSON response again, right? So what exactly this, right? Okay, so let's go and check what is weather service config. Okay, so when we check this, right, weather service config is a bean. Okay, or you can consider it as, okay, so something like Java bean. Okay, which doesn't have anything. Okay, but on the top you see something. There is a couple of annotations. One is component, and the other one is configuration properties. Okay, so when you say iterate component, okay, so you're just leaving this class to Spring to handle it. Okay, so you don't need to worry about this class, like creating its object, and maintaining that object in the life cycle. So Spring will take care automatically if you use iterate component as a annotations, right? So there is one more annotation which is called iterate configuration properties. And this one actually, configuration properties, and this one is using weather hyphen service. Okay, so what this annotation tell, right? If you are using a properties file, with uh, with with a keyword which is starting with weather hyphen service, okay, something like this, okay, weather hyphen service, and we are using URL, UID, and key. Okay, so in that case, URL, UID, key, right? So all these three will be directly populated from a property file, to your class. Okay, so we were just saying that, to Spring, there is a configuration property which will be starting with weather hyphen service. And if you see that, just load all those things, to my weather service config class. Okay, so that's why this annotation helps to map properties which are starting with the provided key. This is our key, right? So let's how it is loading, right? Because of this one, Spring automatically loads, and because of this one, it automatically create a bean for you, and because of this one, it is auto wiring before create, before it is coming to your class. Actually, it is auto wiring, this weather config class, okay, to your course controller class, right? So it is just auto wiring, and the bean is available now. So when you hit the request mapping like weather configs, and it just give you the details, whatever it loaded from the properties file, those things will be directly coming into your, on the screen, right? So this is how the background actually it works. Okay, when we are having something, loading from the property file. Okay, so let's go back and just check one more thing. Okay, so this is one of the important and, very useful topic. Okay, so this is Spring Accutator. Okay, what exactly it does, right? It is going to, give you a complete picture of your application, how your application is working, and what is the performance, all those things you can hit, you can see it here. So how many times your web services has been called, what is the maximum response time, and there are a lot of other things actually it provides, to you, to maintain your application, and what are all the beans that, this application has been created. All those information that if you wanted to see it, actually you can come to localhost 8080 and Accutator. So here you'll see your application health, and here you can see your application metrics, everything. Okay, so let's go and check application health. So it is very basic thing it provides. It is going to check whether the server status is up and running. So it gives you the status as up. Okay, and wait just a minute. Okay, let me plug in my battery. Sorry, charger. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so I was just talking about health which. Okay, so when you go to the health, actually it shows you, whether the server is up and running, and the next one is metrics, right? So just click on the metrics. Okay, so it will show you a lot of things. Okay, on this, right? So what exactly, all these things, right? This these are all the properties that you can measure your application how it is working fine, and just copying this and just add it to your uh, URL, something like this, and it will give you the exact values how your application has been performed, right? So the initial thing that you can see it over here, so application.ready.time, so how much time that your application took to start, okay, to load the entire application, right? So this one, it is showing that 9.6558 seconds, okay. So let's just verify it. Okay. So if you see it here, Spring Boot's application, it started in 9.49 seconds. Okay. So it is in between that. So like just very much closer. It gives a proper time. How much it took actually to start. So that thing you can find it out in the browser. Okay. And what are all the tags that we are having, right? It is just only one of it, which is having the first Spring Boot application. Okay. So this is our application, right? Which is calling entire services. Okay. So let me go back, step back, and application started time. Okay. So just get this one. Okay. And you'll see the exact 9.497. See, so this is what that is application ready time, and this is how much time it took to start the application. That is 9.497, which will be exactly matching with your the console log, 9.497 seconds. Okay, so Spring is going to maintain all these things, okay, without your notice, and you can utilize them wherever you need it. Okay, so all the metrics, you can utilize it. Okay, so let me go and check, one more, the you know interesting one. Okay, so how Spring is going to maintain all these things, you will. So if you see here, there is a metric called http.server.request. So what are all the requests that it is coming to your Tomcat? Okay, so you have just deployed one service, and this service is actually uh, utilizing this, right? Uh, Tomcat server. Okay, so how many server requests that we already sent it to this particular uh, you know uh, web service? Okay, so everything has been captured, and generally it it shows that this is the total time of your response. Okay, and this is a maximum time. Okay, and this is a maximum time that it responded back to your request, and this is the count. Okay, for the entire request. Okay, so if you wanted to increase this count, okay, there's a very simple way. Okay, you just go back to weather config and just click multiple times. I just clicked 4 or 5 times now, and you come back here and just refresh. Okay, see, the count has been increased, and that means Spring is monitoring all your requests, and keeping these counts, and everything that whatever you're doing on these URLs. Okay, everything will be captured, and those things, whatever the URLs that you have hit, okay, and how much response time it is giving, based upon that it will be calculating the maximum, and the statistical, or the total time of response. Okay, so it is like something, this one. Okay, and if you see here, it is also you know uh, it is also having the exception related things, and any errors or something, all those things. Okay, let me show you something. Okay, so if I just remove this and click weather config, So whether config, okay, so this is like, which is a wrong URL. Okay, so it gave me that white label error page. Okay, one second, I'll tell you about that white label error page, but yeah, okay, so that is not an exception actually, because if you have any exception, that generally, it generally show over here. Okay, so there is no exception tags, that we did not added any specific exception classes and all. Okay, so it did not shows that, but if you see here, there are uh, different values, there are different URIs that you are accessing. Okay, that you are accessing frequently. All those URLs are captured over here, and those things will be, we can utilize this URA again, to call certain URLs. You can directly use them. And if you see here, these are the current status that you got it. Okay, one is 404 and the 200. Why we got to 404, right? Just now we actually we have hit this, right? This is the 404 status. Okay, so that's why I just so let me do a refresh again. And these are the two status that still now Spring observed whenever we are calling these services. Okay, so these are the basic metrics that when we go to http.server.request. And let me go back to the metrics. Okay, and see a couple of other things. And yeah, just a minute. Did I stopped anything? Okay, no. Hey, what happened? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I just clicked the wrong one. Okay, so if you want to go with what are all the server requests active, okay, just go back to the this one, and just click HTTP server active. I'm sorry. Okay, one second. So I just missed the metrics. Okay, let me go ahead with this one. Okay, and just click HTTP. Yeah. So this is our active task. Actually, it is going to show you. Okay, so which method was called and what exactly that status is. Okay, so let me do one thing. Yeah, let me just do a refresh. Where is this? Other configs. Okay, let me go back here. Just do a refresh. Oh, okay. Seems like it's not updating the URI. Generally, it updates here. So I'll check on it. Okay. So if you see here, the outcome is success, and the status is 200. So whenever we are calling certain services, actually it captures these things, the active one, and within the seconds, how much time it took, to respond back to your request. So all those things actually it captures over here. It's a get method, and the URI also it generally captures, and the outcome of it, and the status. Okay, so let me go back to the other metrics. Okay, and let me just check the JVM info. I'll give you this one. Yeah. So if you see here, so it gives you the JVM runtime environment, whatever it is running right now, currently at present, for the entire application. So the first one, it is showing the version of, the JDK, it is 17 plus, and the runtime environment, it is Java SE runtime environment, and the vendor is Oracle Corporation. Yeah, so this is the complete JVM information it is going to give you, actuator. And okay, so there is one more thing that I wanted to show you. Just a minute. Beans. Okay, one second. Let me just try to use beans here. Oh, sorry, beans, right? Active beans. Okay. Do you have anything over here about beans? No. One second. Let just me check. Beans. Okay, just a minute. Okay, it should return that, but let me see what is it happening. Oh, okay. So it seems like 1 second. I got it. Let me stop the server and application.properties, health metrics, beans. Okay, yeah. Let me save it and just try to run the application again. And yep, run as the application. Okay, it started, right? So let me go right back and just close this and just refresh this one. Yeah, here we go. So these are all the beans that application is using, to run the sorry, Spring is using, to run the application. Okay, so there are a lot of beans that you are seeing it here. Okay, but yeah, we were like mostly interested on the classes whatever we created, right? So I'll just go directly to there. Okay, so the first one is course controller, right? Yeah. So this is a course controller, and it is actually maintained by the Spring. And if you see here, uh, whenever as I mentioned, okay, there is a dependency that is weather service config. That means, whenever the weather service config is created, actually that before creating the course controller, actually dependencies will be created first, and then, that object will be injected to this course controller. Okay, so because you mentioned as at the rate AutoWide, so yeah, so if you search for this one, control this one. Yeah, so this is the weather config, and this doesn't have any dependencies because, if you go back and check the weather config classes, okay, and it doesn't have any kind of dependencies in the class, right? So let's let's check, couple of other things which I wanted to show you. Okay, and how Spring is doing those things, we are going to discuss. Okay, so Okay, so we we actually verified something like whenever you are calling a service, okay, so it automatically converting into JSON, right? So we don't know like how the Spring is doing it, right? There are these dependencies actually used by Spring, okay, to convert them to JSON to class to JSON, object mapper builder, okay. So this is one of the best dependency which we use it for converting the class directly to your the JSON format. Okay, and you are seeing some error messages when we are typing a different kind of URLs. Okay, there is a default error message which comes like white label error page, right? So this white label error page is actually configured by Spring on its own. Okay, there is certain uh, dependencies that when we are trying to pull it, okay, like Spring Web. Okay, so in the Spring Web, we are going to get, a default, what do we call action or action class? One second. No, select. Okay, to, yeah, dispatch is select. Okay, dispatcher, yes. So dispatcher servlet. Okay. So in the dispatcher servlet, okay, you will be having all these configuration, okay, for the error pages and all those things. Okay. So the dispatcher servlet was also created by, Spring. Okay. This is the dispatcher servlet. Okay. So these are different type of beans that are created by, Spring for your project, without your intention or without anything that okay. So these many beans has been created, and these are all utilizing background when you run the application. Okay, but you don't require to worry about these things. Okay, you just need to worry about the thing that you wanted to do it, like you have to you just need to create a service which is giving your own responses on the URL, right? So that's what we have done, right? We got this responses back to completely for this one. Okay, and I wanted to show you one more thing actually. As I mentioned, like in the previous classes. Okay, so Spring Boot is very good in the configurations, like when if you wanted to deploy Spring Boot application into various environments, you can do it very easily, okay, using the profiles concept, right? So if you see here, there are two different property files which I have defined. One is SIT and one is dev, right? So and I don't have any active, I have set active profile of SIT right now, and whenever I'm calling weather, right? Okay, so we were calling weather config. Okay, this one, weather configs, we are getting SIT URLs, okay, right now, because the profile has been set it to SIT. Okay, so that's why you are getting weather SIT and all, right? So let me do something. Okay, I'm just stopping my property file, sorry, server, and I'm just doing dev over here and just restart the server. Okay. Okay, it just started. And let me go back and just click it. You just see that this is SIT right now, and it is going to change it to dev. Why? Because our profile, active profile, has been already set to dev. That means whatever the properties that we have it will be loaded from the application dev properties. Okay, not from the SID. So this much simple, like that you can switch over environments and all those things. You can do it very easily when we are using profiles. Okay, and there is one more thing that I wanted to show. Okay, so when you wanted, okay, first let me check whether I have a dependency or not. Okay, okay, data test. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have. Okay, so when if you wanted to change this one again, right, in the application.properties, I don't want dev now, so I wanted to change it SIT, but my server is already started. Okay, but I'm still changing the application properties. Okay, just change it, save it. Yeah, so if you see here, the server automatically restarted, and application has been changed to active profile SIT. So why this happened, auto restart, for the Tomcat is one of the feature that Spring Boot provides, that is Spring Dev Tools. Okay, so the dev tools are, very much important when you are writing or developing, an application. And if you wanted to immediately see that how it exactly applies in the on the screen, okay, use Spring Boot dev tools. Okay, which will show you the entire output easily. Okay, so if you see here the weather configs, I'm just refreshing it, it should give you the SIT. It gave the SIT. Okay, so this is what the advantage of the dev tools. Okay, so you can immediately see the output on the screen. Okay, and we just saw about the profiles and also the dev tools. Okay, how it is going to help us to build the application very rapidly and see the output very quickly on the screen. Okay, so you don't require to deploy the changes once you've done this, once you done something new change, and if you wanted to deploy it, you don't require to do that. Okay, so see, similarly, when we go to the course controller, and if you are changing something, okay, so some XYZ institute, okay, and just click save. That's it. It automatically deploys it, and the course, whatever the changes that you have it, right, you can just use it over here, localhost 8080 and courses, right? Yeah, so it changed it to XYZ Institute. So yeah, that exactly, we use Spring Dev Tools. Okay, Spring Boot Dev Tools, to make more flexible, while developing in the applications. Okay, so that's all for today. We'll continue the next things, in the coming, in the future classes. Okay, thank you.